Hello everyone, welcome to my civil engineering YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it and hit the bell icon to get notified when I post my new videos. Today, I'll be discussing regarding Eddy's theorem on arches. So basically, what is an Eddy's theorem? So before going to the statement of the theorem, I would like to share you something regarding the actual arch. So what is an actual arch? I have given a pictorial representation of an arch here, so which is shown here. So actual arch, it is a arch which shows either parabolic, circular or elliptical shape, and it can be easily constructed with an aesthetic appearance is called as actual arch. So actual arch, it is a one whose shape is either parabolic, circular or elliptical, and it can be easily constructed with an aesthetic appearance. Now I have considered a sketch here. This is an pictorial representation of an actual arch here. So here I have a arch, whether it is two hinged or three hinged. So you can take any of the arch, whether it is of two or three hinged, and it is subjected to three loads in particular. In this figure it is shown the three loads. So first one is W1, W2 and W3. So W1, W2 and W3 are the three concentrated loads which are subjected onto the actual arch. And here let VA and VB are the two supports, two hinged supports with vertical reactions. A and B are the two hinge supports with the vertical reactions VA and VB, and H is the common or equally magnituded opposite in direction horizontal reaction at both the ends A and B. So I repeat it. Actual arch, it is an arch which is of either parabolic, elliptical or circular in shape, and it can be easily constructed with an aesthetic appearance. So now I am considering a arch which I have shown in a pictorial representation, whether it can be of two or three hinged. So I have a set of concentrated loads here. So that is W1, W2 and W3. So A and B are the two hinged support here. With VA and VB are the vertical reactions of the supports, and H is the horizontal reaction at both the supports A and B. So now at point C, D and E, these are the points wherein W1, W2 and W3 are located. Okay. So now coming on to the next point, it is that theoretical arch. So actual arch I have explained right now. So now it is a theoretical arch. So or it is also called as a linear arch. So what is a theoretical arch? So theoretical arch, it is nothing but the arch which follows a funicular polygon shape after the application of series of load is called as linear or theoretical arch. So I repeat it. It is an arch which follows a funicular polygon shape after the application of series of load. So as in case of here, you can just observe, as in case of actual arch, this was a arch shape before the application of the load. Okay, so here after the load applied, due to the effect of the load, due to the effect of the magnitude of the load, the shape of the arch would be like this. Okay, agreed. So this shape of the arch is called as funicular shape. The shape of the arch is called as funicular shape. So it is in the way of a polygon. So it is also called as a funicular polygon. So this shape is due to the effect of the magnitude of the concentrated load which is applied. Okay, so I just consider this theoretical arch. I repeat it once again. The theoretical arch is nothing but a arch shape after the application of series of load. That arch is called as theoretical, or it is also called as a linear arch. So this is a funicular polygon wherein A, C, D, E, B are the points which are shown in the figure, on which AC, CD, DE and EB are pin jointed. AC, CD, DE and EB are pin jointed. Pin joint means it is they are the joints wherein the loads are applied. So yeah, at A the load is due to the support reactions. At C it is W1. At D it is W2. At E it is W3. And at B is again the support reactions. So again, generally these members in the linear arch are always subjected to the compressive loads, and the joints must be in the equilibrium conditions. So generally these the members of the linear arch will always be subjected to the compressive loads itself. Okay, so and always at the joints wherein the loads are applied, and it should be in the equilibrium condition. It should satisfy the equilibrium condition. So the next, coming on to the next concept of this theorem is that the vector representation of forces. So this is a schematic vector diagram what I have shown here. So in this vector diagram, if I refer to this vector diagram, so it has a series of points P, Q, M, R, S, which is connected to the point O here. So this representation of the vector sketch represents that PQ, QR, PQ, QR, QR and RS. PQ, QR and RS represents the magnitude of the loads W1, W2 and W3 here. So I just repeat it once again. So referring to the vectors representation, it is just an assumption, or it is just a representation of the forces as well as a support reaction in the form of vectors. So PQ is equal to W1 and QR is equal to W2 and RS is equal to W3 with reference to this representation. So OM, it is a dotted line. It represents, OM is a dotted line which represents the horizontal thrust or the horizontal reaction at the supports. So since the horizontal reaction at the supports is of same magnitude, therefore only one representation you can see here, that is only the OM. And MP here, MP it represents the vertical reaction at A, that is VA. So MS it represents the vertical reaction at B, VB. Okay, I just repeat it once again. I just consider a vector representation of the forces wherein it is subjected to an arch. So PQ, QR and RS represents the vector magnitude of W1, W2 and W3 forces. So OM represents the horizontal thrust, since the horizontal thrust magnitude is same at both the supports, hence it is only represented by the single line. Okay, so and then PM or MP represents the vertical reaction at A, that is VA. So MS represents the vertical reaction at B. So next, if an arch is provided with the same funicular shape, if an arch was provided with the same funicular shape, then the bending moment of the arch would be equal to 0 itself. So in the previous video I have explained you regarding the funicular nature of arch. So only I have explained this. I have taken the actual arch as a parabolic. If I would have taken the actual arch as well as the theoretical arch in the shape of theoretical arch itself, then the bending moment corresponding to this shape of the arch would match each other, and therefore the actual bending moment will be equal to 0. Therefore I have taken the actual arch as the other shape compared to that of the theoretical or linear arch. Okay, so the next thing is, so I have just combined here in this sketch. You can just see that I have combined both the linear arch as well as the actual arch here. So in case of linear arch, so you can just see here. So this is the linear arch. So this is the representation of linear arch. So this is the representation of actual arch. So I have taken a section here. So I have taken a section here. So the section here, in case of the actual arch, I have taken a section. In case of actual arch, the section would be x naught x. The section, as in case of actual arch, or it is also called as a given arch here. So it would be equal to x naught x naught, so which is having the vertical distance is equal to y, which is represented by a red in color. So again, I will take the section at the same part, but I would extend that to that of the linear arch, which would be equal to x naught x1 on the same line itself. So it is x naught x1, so it is at the vertical distance, which is equal to y1. So it is equal to y1. So I'll just repeat it once again. So in order to determine what would be the effect of the in order to determine what will be the bending moment throughout, what is the change in the bending moment throughout, so I have combined the shape of both the actual arch as well as the linear or the theoretical arch here. So I have taken a section here. So x naught will be the section for the actual arch, and theoretical, which is at the distance of y, I have represented that in a red in color. So x, for in case of a linear or theoretical arch, I would take the section on the same line, but I will extend to that of x1. So the overall section would be for a theoretical arch would be x naught x1, which is at the distance of y1, perpendicular distance of y1 here. Therefore the figure shows the combination of the actual as well as linear arch. So here y1 and y represents the rises for the linear as well as the actual arch here. So I need to find out what would be the bending moment as in case of the actual arch. So I can just take the bending moment as in case of at the section x naught. So that is for the actual arch. If I want to find out what would be the bending moment in case of the actual arch at the section x naught, then it would be equal to horizontal angle into horizontal reaction into the y. I don't have the horizontal distance here, just I have taken the intercepts. Therefore the vertical intercept itself I have not considered here the horizontal intercept. Therefore I would take the moment due to the horizontal reaction itself here. Therefore the bending moment at the section x naught would be equal to h into y. The bending moment at the section x naught would be equal to h into y, and the bending moment at the section x naught x1, that is for the linear or the theoretical arch, would be equal to h into y1. Therefore if I want to consider the net bending moment, of a overlapped area, so here the thing represents here, you can just observe the overlapped part between the given as well as the theoretical arch, which is a hatched area here. So I want to find out what would be the net bending moment in case of the overlapped arch here. So that is equal to the bending moment at section xx1 minus that of the bending moment at the section x0 x1. I repeated, in order to find out the net bending moment effect at the overlapped area, I need to deduct the bending moment at the theoretical arch to that of the bending moment of the actual arch. Therefore, for the net bending moment would be equal to hy1 minus that of y. Hy1 minus that of y. Therefore, I could suggest that the net bending moment at section x, means at this point x, at section x, is proportional to difference in the raise level. So difference in the raise level, since h remains constant, right? So the horizontal reaction remains constant. Therefore the varying one will be the y minus y, I mean y1 minus y is the variation. Therefore I could able to tell that the net bending moment at the section x is directly proportional to that of the difference in the difference in the raise. Therefore Eddy's theorem states that the bending moment at any section is proportional to the vertical intercept between the actual arch and the linear arch. The vertical intercept between the actual arch and linear arch, I repeated. So bending moment at any section is proportional to the vertical intercept between the actual as well as linear arch, would be the statement for the Eddy's theorem. So the bending moment, here in the proof we have proved that the bending moment at section x we have taken at any section, so it would be any of the section. So in this case we have taken the section x. So at the section, at any section, so at this section x, the bending moment would be equal to the difference between the vertical intercept between the actual and the linear arch. Therefore that difference is equal to y minus y1 in this case. Hence the Eddy's theorem is satisfied. Thank you for watching.